was like, oh, familiar face. Kind of the good news and the bad news.
Second dose.
The second dose.
The numbers, the positives are looking steady, but deaths are Hey, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Valentine's, happy February, Decatur. And thank you for joining us for another weekly update. It's hard to believe that we've been doing these updates now for almost a year. But that's exactly where we are. And I guess the good news today, talking kind of before we go on air, is that hospitalizations are trending down. Sadly, we've seen some deaths, more deaths, and that is sad. And just to look at the obituaries and see people that I've known to be there before they should have been.
Absolutely.
And so I'm honored to have with us our hospital chief nursing officer, Anita Walden. It's good to have you back with us. And of course, Judy. Everybody knows Judy with the Department of Public Health. Judy, thank you for joining us today.
Certainly.
Hey, whenever Michael's here, you've done a good job.
Well, good.
Good. So, Anita, why don't you give us an update from the hospital?
Okay. Well, let me thank everybody again. I always do that when I'm here. I love to thank our community. They have been so generous. But I want to make sure that I do a good shout out to our physicians, our nurses, our healthcare staff. This year has particularly taken its toll. Even though our deaths are down, we actually had some zero numbers in the last 2 weeks. We did lose 2 over the weekend, but I can't tell you, and I think Dr. Boyle may have alluded to that when he talked last week, but having deaths every day, particularly in our ICU, has really taken a toll on the nursing staff. They feel just really beat up, and they talk about with our COVID patients, they can't hug them like they would normally. They can't embrace the families, and they're looking at their patients with eyes, but everything else is covered up. And so they really feel like they're not giving the service to their dying patients that they would normally give. And I'm face to face with these nurses, and it breaks my heart when I'm talking to them. So we are offering some counseling for them. We have brought in counseling almost every day of the week now, and it's been offered free of charge to them, of course, and we're hoping that will help a little bit. Our numbers today, we were down to 40 positives. When Kelly was here last week, there were 52 positives, so I think that's a really good thing. We have 6 presumptives, and we have 10 in the ICU, and all 10 are on the ventilator. Our vaccines, that's a hot topic, and boy, everywhere I go, people are stopping me. Can you make sure I'm on the list? Am I on the list? When can I get mine? I'm not 75 or older. What's happening here? I will tell you that you can go on our website, and we are changing the verbiage today so that if you're 65 or older, starting next Monday, February the 8th, those who are 65 and older are included in the group. But please fill out the form. If you fill out the form and submit it, you will be on the list. So I can check for you. I don't mind doing that, but just know if you submit that, you're on the list. We do not have a shipment of vaccine yet. We do have our second doses in reserve. We do not have another shipment yet. We are told that we've been approved, and we were hoping that we would get it today, but we don't have a confirmation that it's on its way. It will be the Pfizer vaccine. So as soon as we get that, we will get that word out via our website. So be watching for that on Facebook or just go to our site, and we will let you know. And hopefully Judy's going to help us get it going there. Thank you.
Thank you. So, whenever Dr. Boyle came and visited with us, and I know last week was the state of the health
Right.
with the chamber, and Dr. Boyle spoke at that. But whenever he came and visited with us, he talked about the grieving process and that, of course, healthcare workers are trained to deal with death, but not like this.
Right.
And as you described, and
Right.
not being able to console
Yes.
those that have lost loved ones, and then to the magnitude, even themselves, the healthcare workers, not being able to grieve properly. So it's really nice that the hospital recognizes the need to offer counseling and such in light of this. Now, for the second dose, is that for our viewers? Is that by appointment, or how do they already
Yes.
have that?
Yes, when you get your first dose, you should have been given an appointment for your second dose,
Okay.
at least a date, and then they're called within a day or so before they're to show up for their second dose.
Okay, so just to reiterate that while we don't have vaccines for new doses, first-time injections,
Right,
we do have vaccines for the
definitely,
second dose.
yes.
And y'all are the same way?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure people understand
You're
that
right.
clearly. All right,
Yeah.
Judy, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I want to say how wonderful it is to have Anita's report and to know that things are better at the hospital. And quite honestly, in a lot of ways, things are better in a lot of places. And, you know, there are probably three magic things that have happened. First of all, the holidays are over, except for the mayor, who still thinks it's Thanksgiving. The holidays are over. But you know, one of the things we learned about those holidays is exactly what we had said over and over again, that being together, being too close together, being in communal situations was devastating, and it really was devastating. It ran our numbers up tremendously. So, you know, as much as we enjoy the holidays, you know, those of us in the healthcare industry are kind of glad that we have a break right now. But lesson learned, stay away from it. If you that is the most magic answer to the whole thing. The 6 foot distance, the masks are wonderful and they are extremely important, but stay away from the potential to be exposed. The second thing, and it gets you to the point that you're sick and you have had to go to the hospital, but the treatments that have been available, the remdesivir and the monoclonal antibody treatments that have been available, particularly that has kept a lot of people out of the hospital, and that's been a wonderful, that's absolutely been a wonderful thing. We would prefer you not get to that point. We would prefer that you just not be sick and not get to that point, but thank goodness it is there. And then the third thing is the vaccine, and I think the vaccine for all of us has given us a lot of hope, a lot of, you know, a lot to look forward to. But as Anita has already said, there is a heck of a lot of challenges that have gone with it. So, you know, we really, really need to count our positives and you know, hang on to them and learn our lessons from them. The mayor has already given you most of the numbers for today. I will say that we still have a 16.12% positive rate in Morgan County. You know, I also just want to mention that if you take the 13,000 and if you take the confirmed and the probables, there's actually 13,000 individuals who have had COVID in Morgan County. And if you look at the population of Morgan County, which is what, roughly 120,000 folks, you know, and say roughly that 80% of those are 18 and older, what you will see is that over 10% of this population has been affected by COVID, directly affected, has actually had COVID. And as the mayor said earlier, it's not just what happens at the hospital, it's knowing about your friends at church, you know, the reading the obituaries and knowing people that you know. It's been a devastating time. And I want to add that the 1st of January, we had 81 deaths reported in Morgan County. We currently have 175 reported. Now, to be fair, some of that is a backlog. Some of it is December and January backlog. But, you know, we don't want the numbers to be down for all of the wrong reasons, and that is people didn't get to go to their earthly homes. You know, so there have been some real tragedies, real heartbreaking in all this. With that being said, I'm going to move into the vaccine, and I'm going to choke a little while I'm doing it. As you all know, Decatur Morgan has been out of vaccine for a while, except for its second doses. With the working in conjunction with these folks, we have been able to get them converted to the Pfizer vaccine. Pfizer is a little more accessible right now around the state because you have to have the ultra cold storage capability in order to have it. So Decatur Morgan, Moderna is much more stretched out because there's more people that can manage it. So what we were able to do, again, in working with the hospital, is to see about them getting approved, and they're supposed to get the Pfizer any day. We need them to have it. It's just essential that they get it. Second thing that has happened this week, as you all know, that they have kind of opened the doors to allowing people 65 and older. They've lowered the age to 65 and older. A lot of court officials, agricultural officials, postal officials, quite honestly, everybody known to man has called during the press conference Monday. And, you know, I want to say over and over again, we want vaccine in every arm of folks that want to have it. I mean, that is just, as soon as we can get it, we want to do that. But, you know, the really challenging thing for us, and I will confess that we're a little bit daunted this week. You know, you've got the same amount of vaccine, and now you suddenly have 3 times as many people that are eligible for that vaccine. So, you know, to be honest, we kind of feel like we're playing musical chairs, and if you all remember when we were young, we played musical chairs, and they removed a chair, and then you had to, everybody, the leftovers had to chase the chairs that were remaining. We kind of have an advanced version of that in that we have 2 chairs, and we did have about 6 or 7 people that wanted them, and now we have 15 people that want them, and there's just still only 2 chairs. And it's been, you talk about, I mean, you know, it certainly has been challenging. You know, I guess stressful is also a fair word in that so many people want it, so many people need it. Everybody has a justification for it, and everybody is important. And one of the things that I have said to folks, because, you know, and all of these are true contacts that we have had. If you have an 83-year-old who has dementia, you have a 66-year-old who has multiple sclerosis, you have a 44-year-old who is a caretaker of someone, and you have a 22-year-old that is a handicapped child, who gets the vaccine? Let me tell you who gets the vaccine, who's the most important. If that's your mama that's 83, she's the most important. If that's your sister that's 66, she's the most important. If that's your child that's 22, then they're the most important. And then somebody had to be the caretaker, and obviously the caretaker was important. And so I will tell you, this has been an extremely, extremely challenging time. We just need more vaccine. I still commit to you what we said in the beginning. If you want the vaccine, we're hanging in there until you get the vaccine. We just need you to hang in there with us. Don't hang us, just hang in there with us. And some of us do kind of feel like we're being hung a little. Now, I will also share with you, it's good news and it's bad news, I guess. Well, it's good news and it's more challenging news, I guess. One of the things that we have wanted all along is we have wanted to have more providers. And the state is currently very actively approving additional providers in addition to the Pfizer going, but it's going to split the Moderna vaccine. There are going to be pharmacies, there's going to be physicians' offices, there's going to be a number of places that have it, which is absolutely wonderful in terms of having options. I guess my fear is that right now, as we are transitioning this way, people don't know where to go, they don't know who to call, and I will tell you up front, I'm going to have less. We're taking that same pot, and it will be divided among numerous providers. And maybe I'm a little bit a mother hen that wants to know where all her little chicks are, but you know, I don't want people to move from being stressed with the health department because the lines were a little bit long to being stressed because they can't figure out who has it and what the rules are and this kind of stuff. So one of the things that we're really pushing our state office and the, you know, state government as a whole to do is as soon as these places are approved, you know, advertise them, let the information be out there so people have their options. But I just don't want people to have to call this doctor and not be able to get in, and that doctor and his appointments are back to whatever and the whatever. So, you know, again, the mother hen is a little bit concerned about how the process is going, and you know, we actually have a state call this morning, and we intend to beg for some more vaccine. To reiterate what I just said, eligibility does not equate to availability. And that is just a true problem. You know, yes, there are many people, and as far as I'm concerned, everybody that wants it's eligible. And certainly everybody who has a qualifying condition, I don't care how old you are, you know, but that doesn't mean that the vaccine is available. That being said, I would like to kind of end on a positive note, even though I do sound a little challenged this morning, and I admit it. You know, over the last month in the Northern District and the Northern Counties, which I am the administrator of them all, we gave over 30,000 vaccines, which, now this is just the health department, gave over 30,000 vaccines. In Morgan County, we have given almost 4,000 vaccines, and almost 3,000 of those have been in the last 2 weeks since it opened up to the 75 and above. Would I love to keep doing that? Absolutely. But once again, the big challenge all around is the availability of the vaccine. So, but please, please, yes, you are important. Yes, you are essential. Yes, you are all those things. Please just try to hang in there. We'll try to have more providers. We'll try to fight for more vaccine. One little thing I want to add to that more vaccine, you hear on the state news that we have gotten 10,000 additional doses. That sounds noble and it's wonderful. Divide 10,000 by 67 counties. It's about 149 doses if you do it equitably for all counties. So we're not talking that anything. We've got to continue to get more vaccine. You know, hopefully in the very, very near future, we'll have 2 additional vaccines available. And so there will be more vaccine. And if everybody else wants to get the single dose vaccine in their pharmacy and their doctor's office, we'll give you the 2-dose vaccine. We're gonna all be in this together until we get to where we need to be. Things are better. Stay away from folks. Keep wearing your mask, please. By the way, do you know that more people are wearing their masks now? Have you noticed that more people are wearing their masks now that we have vaccine and now that the holidays are, go figure. So, but at any rate, plus, please keep doing the things, the public health things that we have asked you to do, and we're going to stay at it, you know, as long as we can. I'm a little bit concerned that our doses of vaccine are down. We were hoping that if ours went down, that the hospital would have theirs, and it hadn't quite clicked that way. So we're going to struggle along and do the best we can to do as much as we can for this community. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you, Judy. Appreciate you. So I was reading, I guess it was last week or week before, Dr. Harris had talked about a state website, the Department of Public Health website, for being able to register for vaccines. Any updates on when they might roll that out?
It actually starts today. Now, I really wish you'd had this conversation offline, so I didn't fall in quick saying, we have elected right this minute not to open up any of the slots on there until we know what our vaccine availability is.
Okay.
Because there's nothing worse, is there not, Anita, than giving people appointments and having them to come and you have no vaccine to give them. So right now, we're doing the same thing that the hospital is doing. We're certainly honoring the second ones that we have, and then we're giving out the doses as we can on the priority groups. I'm also going to make another confession because the paper's going to put it in there anyway. We tried to cheat a little bit. We knew that when we knew that it was going to be opened up to the 65 group and the other group, our request for things that were 75 and less, folks that were 75 and less, had actually gone down a little bit. And so we were going to begin to kind of slip some additional folks in so we could continue to have a lot of open slots even next week. And what we decided, so that we wouldn't treat one group better than the other, is that we'd let about a third of them be teachers who have knocked the doors down, but anyway, and about a third of them be folks that were 65 and older, and a third of them be the other group, so we would be fair to everybody. So then this morning, or actually late Friday afternoon, we kind of got our notice that the vaccine was going to be transitioned and redistributed, and we weren't going to have as much. So we did honor what we were doing this morning, but we're going to have to, you know, the best laid plans of mice and men, you know, we're going to have to kind of back out of that easing into it so we would open up more slots and just see how it goes. And I hate that. I thought that would be it would be wonderful for this community. And again, no good deed goes unpunished, does it?
No,
so,
no.
But anyway,
well,
Mayor,
so whenever the website, the portal is available, then
it's going to say you have to call us for an appointment. And we're not going to make it until we know we have vaccine that we can give you.
Right, but what I'm saying is whenever there's a good supply,
Oh, absolutely.
then be able to
It'll
use
open back
that,
up,
but you'll
absolutely.
notify our friends with the media.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the way it's going to be set up, people will be able to make their own appointments. They won't have to call, some may talk to somebody in Montgomery, they won't have to talk. It'll be open for about a 2-week span so that you don't get too far ahead, and then, you know, as that week opens up, it'll open up for additional 2-week span, so.
We've been working with our faith-based community to help register those that don't have access to the internet, as opposed to clogging up your phone system with
Thank you so much.
a bunch of phone calls. So we, whenever that opens, when the
Absolutely.
portal opens, please let us know.
Absolutely, and we will stay in touch, absolutely.
Okay, good. You know, I had the pleasure of listening to the Madison County update last week, and they rotate. Mayor Battle will give an update 1 week. Chairman Strong will give an update, and then Mayor Finley. And I was listening to Mayor Finley as he was closing, and he talked about the fact that he was making a plea to the residents or to the viewers to quit watching 24-hour news stations. That they're just taking away your happy zone, and to get out, to find something to do, read a book, play games as a family, go for a walk, treat yourself to an ice cream cone. And so we want to do the same thing. We want to borrow what Mayor Finley shared and ask you to do the same thing. Find your happy place. Go do something, and be kind. And with that, our next press conference will be Monday, February the 8th at 10 o'clock. We look forward to joining you then. And so, Madison, do you have any questions with WAFF?
I do. The first thing I want to ask is, obviously, we've known this for weeks. The biggest issue right now with vaccines is supply not meeting demand. With that being said, Judy, I don't know if this is something that necessarily you can answer, but what is the rationale between them open on February 8th, 65 and older, and all these other groups? What's the rationale behind making that available to them when there's not even enough to vaccinate the 75 and older group right now?
Hey, Samson, could you please give me your questions?
Madison, like I said earlier, there is no good answer. There is no good answer. Everybody is essential and everybody is important. And I think, just to be honest, I think there was so much pressure, if you will, outcry that, you know, and once again, you know, how do you argue it? So I think the decision was just, we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to do the best we can. We were beginning to see the 75-year-olds, and in a lot of the clinics, we were, you know, everybody rushed in the first week. And then we were beginning to see some decline, and some of us had actually already asked to be able to start easing in, because we don't need vaccine in refrigerators, we need them in arms, we need people protected. So I think it was a combination of, you know, community concern, community, you know, we want this, and just a need to move on.
And then my last question is, with that being said, it's 65 and older, and then a bunch of other essential groups, as in, grocery store workers, food service workers, and then teachers was a big one. The Alabama Education Association has been pushing for this for a really long time, and we're very upset that this didn't happen sooner. Is one group, for example, teachers or someone else, going to be prioritized over another, or again, is it just kind of like whenever?
Our intent, as I said earlier, is to split it down, triple down the way. Now, first of all, the 75-year-olds and olders and first responders still take priority if you have vaccine. But then once we get past that, and I guess other places will do it however they feel like is appropriate for their communities, but our intent was to kind of third it. A third teachers, a third, which is a huge group of folks, you know, a third other general workers, and a third sort of government workers. So, but you'd be amazed at how many people suddenly think they work at the grocery store.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Marion, Decatur Daily, good to have you with us. So our viewers can hear, do you mind coming to the microphone here?
Oh.
Madison, we're going to get you to do that in the future. We're going to get you to do that in the future so our viewers can hear you.
Hello, Mayor.
Was just checking, you said that you honored vaccinations this morning.
We did start what we committed to Friday. As soon as we knew that the doors were gonna open up, you know, we tried to get a jump start on it so we could open up as many you know, just because it wasn't open up. If we didn't have a full course of 75 and plus, we were gonna use what we had left over to try to vaccinate folks. Once again, no good deed goes unpunished. So once we did that, then we found out late Friday afternoon that the vaccine was gonna be transitioned and it was gonna be kind of split between multiple providers. We'll have that information to you as soon as we know that. And so what we fulfilled our commitments this morning. People were already on the way, but we're gonna have to back off of that. We had hoped to do it for the entire 2 weeks. And, you know, we're just not gonna be able to do that. We're gonna have to stay within the guidelines.
And you don't know how many there were of like teachers or those other folks that got?
No, I was answering the phone for all those grocery store workers and people who were,
Just wanted-
actually, I do not. I actually do not, so.
Okay.
But, you know, and you really always hate that you let one group slip in and you couldn't fulfill the rest of it. But from the get-go, our comment was, as long as the vaccine is available. So we did have some vaccine this morning, but we will have to stop it. And if the vaccine becomes more available, we'll go right back to these great plans we've made. And that they really were good plans, I think, for this community. I grieve that we're not going to be able to fulfill them in as efficiently and rapidly as we had hoped to do. So.
But overall, I mean, 75 and older were still given priority.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you know how many you had this morning that you were able to give out?
You know, I don't. I left in the middle of it
Okay.
so that I
Okay.
could see the wreck that was on 31 and
Okay.
almost not get here. So, but I left about 9:30. So I actually don't know. They'd only had the clinic going for about an hour and a half.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Marion. Amy, you have some questions?
We had one question.
Do you have a microphone where you are?
I do.
All right.
Thank
good,
goodness.
good.
Thanks, IT. One question from Samson from Channel 19. He wanted us to explain a little bit more about the faith-based groups that were helping register people for the vaccine.
Sure. So Sherry and I had the privilege of being able to visit a lot of churches throughout the year. We go to our home church for worship one Sunday out of a month, and then we try to visit other churches. And with that, we've made a lot of relationships. Most of our faith-based community is always looking for ways to help the city. And so it just kind of occurred to me that this is an opportunity for those that don't have access to the internet, that they could utilize churches where they have internet access and they can register our residents. And so whenever we know that we have a good supply, then they're ready to go. And we have leadership that will organize that effort for all of our churches, and we're thankful for them and everybody working together. Hope I answered the question.
That was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
We're good.
Well, very good. Boy, it was good to have you with us today, and we look forward to seeing you on February the 8th at 10 o'clock. Thank you.